All right, today we're going to do a service on a 525 wide track. It's the same procedure used for a 525 narrow track as well. This particular model was built in 2007. The first thing that we're going to do is get the lift arms up in the air and drop your safety arm on that cylinder right there so no one gets hurt while they're working on the machine. Come over here and we'll service the air filter. So I've removed both of the air filters. This particular unit uses 2 air filters. Some of the newer units only use 1. But we removed both the outside and the inside. And then I installed the new safety air filter, which is the small one, and installed it in the slot where it seats nice and snug inside the housing. And keeping in mind not to blow or not to push out the back end of the housing over here, which sometimes this thing gets loose and you don't want that to happen. After that is the inside air filter is in there pretty good. Go ahead and take your outside filter here, slip it over into the housing, over the inside filter, and then put your housing cap on. And when you put your housing cap on, make sure that this port right here is in the downward position. If it's in the upward position, you leave your hood up. You can get rain or something inside your engine, and that's no good. Second thing we'll do is an oil change. The oil drain plug on the 525s are underneath the units. So if you come underneath the unit, and I don't know if you can see it, I don't know, fingers in the way. There's a silver drain plug here. It uses an Allen wrench or an Allen head wrench to get off. And that is a new drain plug because the original drain plug that was in it was just destroyed. So you had to use an extractor to get it off. Just make sure when you're taking this bolt out to use the correct Allen head, because it's easy to strip out. And it's circle around the outside, and it's just real hard to get off without that Allen head. So keep that in mind. Pull that oil drain off, and all your engine oil will start pouring out. It takes a little bit for all the engine oil to leak out. After your oil is all out, go ahead and put your oil drain plug back in and secure it. Come over here to the side of the engine. This filter right here off the side of your diesel Kubota is your oil filter. So take your old one off. I've already installed a new one. Take your old one off. Take your new filter before you install it and fill it up with engine oil first and let it seep in. And then take a little bit of oil and wipe it on the O-ring on the inside of the oil filter before you install it, and then turn it snug. To add oil to your machine, up towards the top, here's the drain plug right here. I usually clean this off really good. Usually gets pretty dirty and dusty, and you don't want to open this up and contaminate your system with dust. So go ahead and open this up and pour your oil in here. I use a funnel. This particular Kubota engine uses 10W30 diesel engine oil and takes roughly 4 quarts. Some machines take 15W30 or 15W40. Look to your owner's manual for your particular unit to find out which oil is right for your machine. To check your oil level, there's a dipstick right here. Pull your dipstick out, and on the bottom part of your dipstick are 2 holes in your dipstick. The bottom hole is low oil level and your top hole is high oil level. So fill it up to the top hole. I fill it up first, and then I'll actually run the machine for about a minute and turn it off, let the oil sit, and then check again and add any additional oil that's necessary to bring it up to the top hole. So we're done with oil and air. We can go over to fuel filter. This particular 525 is an early model, 2007. So this one has only 1 fuel filter. There's a canister right here. It's really dirty. This is your fuel filter canister. Take an oil wrench and take that off, and then install your new fuel filter canister in the same way. I usually fill my fuel filter with diesel before I install it, but I'll leave that up to you. Some of the newer models have this fuel filter, and then behind that fuel filter, in this cavity over here, is an inline filter. So they use 2 fuel filters. If yours requires that or has that fuel filter, go ahead and change that too. On that fuel filter should be a directional arrow. Just make sure that the directional arrow is pointed in the way as fuel is going through those lines. Most of the fuel filters are only one way. If you put them in the other way, you're asking for problems. So now fuel is done. Some people bleed their fuel system. Some people don't. These Kubotas, you really don't need to, but if you do, your bleeder screw is right, kind of hard to see, right here where I'm touching. It's a 10mm screw. You just crack that open, click over your ignition switch to run, and as soon as fuel starts spilling out there and a full flow, go ahead and close it back up, and then you got fuel where it needs to be to run your engine. So fuel is done, air filter is done, oil is done. So we'll come over for hydraulic. Your hydraulic filter is towards the back of the machine, above the battery. So this is your hydraulic filter right here. Go ahead and take that off and install your new one. I usually don't fill my hydraulic filter up with hydraulic fluid, but I do take some fluid and rub it around the O-ring on the top, and before I install it, to make a clean seal. To check your hydraulic fluid level, come on over here to the side of the machine over here by your fuel filter, and down here you'll see a cap. Remove the cap, pull the dipstick, and this is for measuring your hydraulic fluid. So if you see those lines right there, you want your fluid anywhere in those lines. This one is acceptable, or this one's on actually a little bit of the low, so I'm probably going to add some hydraulic fluid. Keep in mind that you want to check your hydraulic fluid with your arms down for an accurate reading, because some of the fluid is actually stuck up here in these hydraulic cylinders. So keep that in mind, that the level that you want to be at with your hydraulic fluid is with your arms down, your hydraulic arms down. This machine uses hydraulic fluid and not the diesel engine oil that was originally installed in these machines. Your radiator, if you want to do a full clean of your radiator, I already made another video about it, so check out the other video, how to disassemble both your radiator and your oil cooler to clean it if that's necessary. If you just want to add and check the levels of your coolant, it uses 50-50 coolant, and pull this cap off and fill antifreeze up to the top of this level, and then screw the cap back on. Then over here on your overflow, you want antifreeze up to this line right here. So now the last thing to do is just grease the machine. There's 12 grease points on this machine. There's 2 right here. Yeah, 1 over here underneath the cylinder, 1 on the other side. On your quick attach plate, you have 1 here on the outside, 1 on the other side. You have 2 grease fittings here for your turn knobs for your quick attach. You have another grease fitting on the other side of this cylinder, and there'll be another grease fitting at the top of the cylinder right there, and then you'll have a grease fitting in here towards the back, and then another grease fitting down here in between the cylinder and these hoses back here. These 2 and 2 other on exactly the opposite end are easiest to access when the arms are down. You get a better look at those cylinders. And service is now done.